Good day everyone, my name is Leah Idini and we are from the Group 6. We are here today to discuss about the ethical teaching of Saint Thomas Aquinas. But first, let's get to know more about the person behind this work. He is San Tommaso di Aquino, or also known as Saint Thomas Aquinas, an Italian Dominican friar and priest who was born on January 28 of 1275. He studied at the University of Naples Federico II at 1239 to 1245 and continued his education to the University of Paris in 1245 to 1248. He is also known as the father of humanism and also known as the Doctor Angelicus, Doctor Communis, and Doctor Universalis. His best known works were the Summa Conscientialis and the Summa Theologica. So what is Saint Thomas Aquinas known for? Saint Thomas Aquinas was the greatest of scholastic philosopher. He produced a comprehensive synthesis of Christian theology and Aristotelian philosophy that influenced Roman Catholic doctrine. For ethics, Aquinas depends so heavily on Aristotle. Aquinas believes that all actions are directed towards ends and that happiness is final end. Aquinas thinks that happiness consists in activities in accordance with virtue, but like Saint Augustine, Aquinas declares that ultimate happiness is not attainable in this life, for happiness is in the heart, and also it is to be found only in the soul of the blessed in heaven or beatitude with God.
I am Ramel Blas Alido, reporter from Group 6. And today I am going to discuss the four primary types of law: the eternal law, the divine law, the natural law, and the human law. But first we're going to define what is law. Law is an ordinance of reason for common good promulgated by the one who is in charge of the community, or the one who has the position or a leader that will set some kind what we call the rule. Our first law to discuss is the eternal law. It is the divine wisdom of good oversees the common good and governs everything. The eternal law is God's plan to lead all creations toward God's eternal salvific plan to be holy and blameless before Him through Jesus Christ. This from the verse Ephesians 1 verses 4 down to 5, which means that the things will act accordingly to their nature. Meaning we all has our own will, being a man, being who you are, and you will act accordingly to the nature of being a man. And our next law is the natural law. The natural law, it is the rational creature's participation in the eternal law. The highest norm of human life is the divine law, eternal, objective, and universal, whereby God governs us accordingly to His wisdom and love. Because God makes man, shares in His law, so man can recognize the unchanging truth, which means the natural flows of the things around us. For example, in our own life, our natural flow of life, from the womb of a mother to the tomb, which means that the natural flow of time, like if we could live, time will come that we will die. That is the form of the natural law of the nature around us. The natural law hinges upon the desire for God's submission to Him, as well as upon the sense that the other one is equal to one another. Also the definition of being a man, that you will commit your submission to Him, to the Creator. We are equal, created by God, even though we are different, but we are created. And our next law is the divine law. It is the historical laws of scriptures given us through God's self-revelation. Divine law is divided into Old and New law, which correspond the Old and New Testaments of the Bible. The Old law is revealed by God to Moses. It is the first stage of revealed law. Its moral participation summed up in the Ten Commandments. That is the first or the old law in the Old Testament of the Bible, revealed to Moses. And the other one is the new law. The new law is perfected than the old law. It's because it is the teachings of Jesus Christ and commands the internal conduct and reaches divine by love, promising love and heavenly reward. The old law, which means the Ten Commandments, the thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet the other neighbors, and so on and so forth. That is the old the old law revealed by God to Moses, and the new law is well perfected because it has all, because love can conquer everything, which means that love is the most powerful or the absolute, that you will reaches divine through love. And we will going to move to the last part, the human law. Human law is the interpretation of the natural law in the different context. The natural law is a foundation of moral civil law, meaning the human law and is also based on the natural law. Just like the government laws are dictated by the form of rules for a practical reason. For example, the types of the human law is the, like here in our country, Philippines, there are the republic acts that we need to not to step on it or being avoid doing. For example, in our human law, just like the Republic Act 11525 or the Vaccination Program Act, which means to this Republic Act, the order is absolute that we must, all the people in the Philippines must be or must get vaccinated by the government due to these pandemic seasons. And that's all the four types of primary laws. That's all. Thank you.
My name is Angelica M. Sokal. I'm the next of reporter of Group 6 about ethical theory. Within Aquinas frame ethical philosophy about deciding the best way to live one's life. This is the continuous with wider ascent and medieval approaches. Modern theories tend to assume that the people have a vast field of option which morality powers down. In contrast, Aquinas believes people need to identify meaningful goals before they can act. As such, moral theory is a way to facilitate action rather than to limit it. For me, this ethical theory talks about a person living in this world with a great moral character which is recognized in the interaction to other people, especially people in his surrounding. The ethical theory developed, expand, and it is promoted by other approaches. Like ascent and medieval approaches, it is well tested in my especially in human being. In this generation, many theories made and resolved. Many people are confused to many theories and not able to select theories best for them. But Aquinas advised to many people that identify first the best for them, theories that promote big impact in their life, especially in improving on his or her characteristic. Choosing the best theories is very much applicable as a person order you to be effective person, as what Aquinas said. Thank you po.
I'm Rolly T. Guzman. I am from Group 6 supporter. So, moral virtues are amplified by courage, temperance, and liberality. The key of intellectual virtues are wisdom, which governs ethical behavior, and understanding, which expresses in scientific endeavor and contemplation. Moral excellence are quality that is then to be morally good, and this is valued as a foundation of principle and good moral being. In the other words, it is the behavior that issue high moral standard and doing what right and avoiding what is wrong. Attitudes, disposition, and act in ways that develop this potential. They enable you to pursue the ideal we have adopted: honesty, courage, compassion, fidelity, and prudence are all examples of moral virtues. That's all my report. Next reporter.